right, good morning, MABA membership. Welcome to the Great Montana Ag Rally. It is 10:30 and we are going to get started with our webinar number 7, session number 2, Safety First. Presenter today will be Matt Kirby with Nutrien, and we are sponsored today by CHS Agronomy. So we will go ahead and have a little recognition here for our CHS sponsor, and then we will introduce today's presenter, Matt Kirby. So CHS Agronomy.
Current commodity prices mandate that growers maximize their yield potential to dilute fixed costs and increase profitability. To achieve maximum yields, it is critical all essential nutrients are supplied at the appropriate time and in the amount needed. While all nutrients are important, phosphorus management is one of the largest untapped areas of agriculture today. Phosphorus provides the building blocks for adenosine triphosphate, ATP, an important energy-producing molecule in plants. Unlike nitrogen, phosphorus has extremely limited soil mobility, causing it to consistently get tied up in the soil. The vast majority of the phosphorus you apply may not be available to be utilized. As evidence of this, the general rule of thumb is that it typically takes up to 9 to 10 pounds of applied phosphorus to increase the soil test by 1 pound, based on soil type and conditions. In fact, the lower the soil test, the more likely applied phosphorus will be tied up, thereby requiring even greater amounts of applied phosphorus to make an impact. By understanding the soil properties that affect nutrient availability identified by the Climate Corporation, we can visualize soil test data and start to address phosphorus availability issues. Every field has nutrient availability issues. Research is ongoing, but experts agree that the primary limiting factors to phosphorus availability include pH, organic matter, and soil texture. Organic matter levels that are low can limit the rate of phosphorus supply. Soil pH that is too high or too low affects how iron, aluminum, and calcium react with phosphorus, which causes nutrient tie-up. And high CEC and clay content also supply cations that scavenge added phosphorus, making it unavailable. The following table demonstrates the intersection points where ensuring the two following practices are imperative. Utilizing a starter fertilizer program is the first recommendation to ensure phosphorus is available to the seedling. Band applications are also an excellent strategy to give seedlings a great start. However, using a common starter fertilizer like 10-30-40 alone has limitations. Many applied nutrients like phosphorus bond with micronutrients, causing tie-up and making them unavailable for plant uptake. This prevents crops from accessing the nutrients they need for season-long nutrition. Second, ensuring the starter program includes phosphorus efficiency technologies such as CHS Aventine Complete, which contains Levisol, prevents the phosphorus and micronutrients in the starter from getting tied up in the soil, and ensures they are readily available to the seedling. Levisol is the most advanced nutrient efficiency solution, making phosphorus, zinc, and other key micronutrients more available to the plant. With 3 modes of action, it unlocks the nutrients in the soil. It makes the nutrients that it's applied with more available, and it is mobile in the plant for season-long activity. Levisol's Ortho-Ortho EDD-HA chelate is the most scientifically proven and only patent-pending chelating agent in the industry. Other phosphorus efficiency products bond with micronutrients to increase phosphorus levels, inefficiently leaving micronutrients such as zinc and manganese tied up. Levisol chelates micronutrients, protecting them from interacting with molecules like phosphorus, allowing both to be more available for plant uptake. The Levisol technology is available in multiple options for a range of utility. Levisol is the first of its kind chelate that can be added directly to liquid starter fertilizer, making the nutrients in your starter and soil more available to the plant. Levisol Zinc is the newest formula, with additional quality zinc and a convenient low use rate. 1 quart of Levisol ZN can replace common 9% EDTA zinc to provide enhanced yields. Levisol DFC is a dry fertilizer compatible formula that can be impregnated with MAP or DAP and applied in furrow 2x2 or in a band. CHS Aventine Complete is a liquid fertilizer with Levisol and a complete balance of micro and macronutrients. Soy Green Liquid, and Soy Green Granular are the #1 product solutions for overcoming iron deficiency chlorosis in soybeans by providing more available and efficient iron. And Soy Shot is a premium starter fertilizer with Levisol that has an extremely low salt index, providing maximum safety for soybeans. Working with agronomists to understand the importance of how these ideas work together will lead to enhanced grower profitability, while being environmentally sound. For more information, talk with your local agronomist or visit your local retailer.
What if we told you there was an insidious enemy lurking in farm fields across the land, threatening your yields and your profits? What if we also told you there's a solution? That there's a new leader that truly stands out in the crowded field of fertilizer additives, ready to revolutionize your operation. It's called Trivar, a first-of-its-kind chelating agent from CHS Agronomy. Its patented Levisol chelate is designed to disrupt the chemical bonding behind nutrient tie-up, and it's been shown to increase phosphorus availability by as much as 80% compared to a standard fertilizer application. Trivar has also demonstrated a 6-bushel yield increase compared to standard fertilizer applications. But what is nutrient tie-up, and how does Trivar beat it? Phosphorus tie-up can happen even in healthy soils. That's because most of the phosphorus contained in fertilizer has negatively charged ions, which are attracted to the positively charged ions in micronutrients. The chemical binding that results is a bigger problem than it may sound. In fact, for every 9 to 10 pounds of phosphorus applied, typically only 1 pound of it becomes available to plants. It's also why most phosphorus applications are less than 20% efficient. That's phosphorus tie-up, and it's a serious threat to your plants and your bottom line. But Trivar disrupts this process by using 3 advanced modes of action. Trivar includes patented Levisol technology, the industry's most powerful chelating agent, which prevents micronutrients from bonding with phosphorus. This makes phosphorus and other micronutrients more available to the plant. Trivar also uses a nutrient-focused enzyme to convert phosphorus into its more plant-available form. Finally, Trivar provides uniform distribution of zinc and boron to every granule, ensuring every plant gets more of the nutrition it needs. The result is improved plant health, increased nutrient availability, and higher yields. Trivar is also convenient because it's effective in both spring and fall fertilizer applications. It can also be used across all cropping systems. Ready to take back your field and your yields? Join the tie-up resistance and use Trivar the next time you fertilize. Learn more by visiting trivarfertilizer.com or contacting your local agronomist.
All right, thank you CHS Agronomy for that message and for sponsoring today's presentation. I'm Ryan Heller, I'm Field Technology Manager for Wilbur Ellis Company. I've been on the MABA board now for going on 4 years, and I'll moderate today's session. So today's session is about spring safety in ag retail, and our presenter is Matt Kirby from Nutrien. Matt currently serves as the Senior Manager of Safety, Health, and Environmental at Nutrien Ag Solutions. He is based out of Loveland, Colorado, and is part of the Corporate SH&E team. Matt resides in Soda Springs, Idaho, and leads a team of safety professionals with retail responsibilities throughout the West region, including the U.S. Timber Division and the Evergro Division in British Columbia. Prior to joining Nutrien Ag Solutions, Matt spent over 20 years as an SH&E professional for companies such as Loveland Products Inc, Agrium, Monsanto, and Kerr-Mcgee. He has global experience and contacts in ag retail, construction, manufacturing, and mining industries. Growing up in southern Idaho, Matt's interests and hobbies include farming, ranching, fly fishing, rodeo, and metalwork. Matt has a BS in Occupational Safety and Health from Columbia Southern University in Orange Beach, Alabama. He holds numerous certifications, including OSHA 510 and 511, Firefighting Essentials from Idaho State University, Hazmat Emergency Response and Industrial Firefighting from Texas A&M. Matt is a member of the American Society of Safety Professionals and has obtained the Certified Safety Professional credential from the Board of Certified Safety Professionals. Really appreciate Matt being here with us today. So good morning, Matt, and we'll let you take it away here.
Hey, thanks, Ryan. I appreciate the introduction. That made me feel a little old as you was rattling off some of that stuff. So glad to be here. Thanks for having me. It's looking forward to spending some time with you today. Again, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to meeting y'all in person when we can get back to doing this in person rather than virtually, but this is a creative way to go about it and get some messages out there. So one thing that I was thinking about as I went into this, rather than just share an ag safety meeting as we head into the spring, I felt it might be interesting and hopefully provide you with some takeaways for your own business if I showcase 4 projects that we've worked on in Nutrien in 2020 to address situations with SIF potential, significant injury or fatality potential that have affected our workers and that we may be facing, that all be facing as we move into the next year, and we may have been facing for a long time. So the way that we see this and the way I see it is there's no competition for business and safety, and we're willing to share anything that we have within the industry. And we're definitely eager to learn from many of you out there to help us protect our employees as well. So that being said, I'd like to talk about an applicator project that we worked on this year, a tender project, which is bleeding into an applicator project. So one of the problems that we had was during 2018 and 19, the U.S. ag industry as a whole lost 7 workers due to fatalities from touching power lines. Now, during this time frame at Nutrien, we had employees involved in several of these power line touches ourselves. Thankfully, none of these incidents resulted in any of our workers being injured. But as a result of these incidents across the ag industry in general, and then in-house really hitting home with our employees, we put together a team of safety professionals and ag retail employees to help find a solution that would prevent these further occurrences. So as we started researching this, the team found that auger extensions and ag equipment, it ranges in heights from 12 to 18 feet above the ground, as you know. And if augers aren't properly seated in their transport position when the equipment's driven down the road, pretty good risk of that auger contact and an elevated structure or power line. So in response to these power line touches in 18 and 19, this team identified a vast range of equipment types that had the potential of contacting these overhead hazards. Our data indicated that the highest risk potential was associated with our trucks and trailers equipped with augers and our application equipment. So with the compressed and very fast-paced seasons in ag, and paired with the increase of active machinery, yield, higher risk for contacting power lines, these factors, they led our employees to be fatigued and distracted, and consequently taking some shortcuts that could disrupt their normal routine and increase the risk for these incidents. Our drivers, it's like most, are trained to do a walk around prior to leaving the yard and ensure the truck and trailer is ready for transport. If the operator of the equipment becomes distracted or fatigued, as we all know happens as we get rolling really heavy in the spring season, this reduces their awareness to conduct a walk around and reduces the chances or increases the chances for that auger to be left in the elevated unloading position and increasing our potential for power line strikes. So during the time of 18 and 19, the power line incidents and administrative controls such as warning stickers or warning decals that reminded the driver to check the auger was lowered before driving was the only system that we really had, the warning system. And it was evident that we needed a stronger solution to prevent overhead power line touches. So the team got together and auger alarm technology was developed. This team got in collaboration with industry leading manufacturers, and the auger alarm technology, it provides an engineering solution utilizing the brakes on the trailer in conjunction with an audible alarm to reinforce the measures and provide added safety. So during the summer of 2019, there's 5 options for auger safety devices analyzed. And in August, the team presented 4 of these devices with durable, high quality parts out at the Illinois Fertilizer Maggie Farm Show. Together, some input from manufacturers and some industry employees on how to improve the devices. Once installed, is a big project to get them installed on all of our equipment that required it. But the final results of the project really provided an auger alarm warning system that consisted of technology that would sound that audible alarm as soon as the driver released the brakes of the truck or trailer with the auger in the upright position. These systems became available through industry manufacturers that provide consistent solution that wasn't to be equipped on all of our existing and new trailers. So since the implementation of these auger alarms in September 2019, we haven't had any reports of any auger power line touch incidents. It's been successful in alerting our drivers and increasing some awareness. And with the help of the equipment manufacturers, the new auger alarm warning device is now becoming standard on all new auger equipment with Nutrien Ag Solutions. And also it's standard on all of our safety feature. It's a standard safety feature on all new equipment being purchased today. So part of the success of the project was that it is relatively inexpensive and can be easily installed on existing equipment, which we have a lot more of than we did new. So each of our branches were able to install the units on their own without needing a vendor to make a trip to the facility. The units can be purchased for about $350 from the manufacturers. So during the early stages of the project, the original alarm, they were a lot cheaper, a little bit more inexpensive parts were being used. They just weren't holding up and weren't being very durable. So the manufacturers anticipate that the auger alarm systems now should get 5 years of normal use out of them once installed and put to work in the field. So that really was kind of exciting to us. It was really inexpensive, pretty effective, and it translated from a management control with a sticker on the cab as a reminder that pretty soon becomes white noise, into an engineering control that if installed and used properly, it really gives another layer of safety to keep our employees out of power lines. And so after that was phase one, and that was implemented in the end of 2019. We went through all of 2020, fortunately didn't touch a power line with an auger. Now, we did still continue to have issues with applicators. So phase two of this project is looking for solutions to begin reducing our opportunity to touch power lines with application equipment. We decided to do the same thing, reach out to our manufacturers, leverage partnerships that would allow us to research some of the development that they may already be working on, and let them know some of our problems and hazards that we're facing. So very similar to the auger alarm. This one got kicked off in late 2020, and it's a relatively new project that we're diving into now. I'll show you the phases of this one. Phase one, it is getting close to complete. It really acted as a proof of concept for us and to gauge current platform capabilities to determine what could be done quickly and without the need for some heavy research and development by our partners. So this one, it's getting close. You can see into phase two, we're wanting the ability to show some of these potential hazards to our operators. We're starting on this. It's rolling now, and we're looking forward to making some progress on this in 2020. As today our operators are using, the Pro app or Ag Logic on an iPad, we'd like to integrate this with the field computer. And our goal and plan is to get into phase three, some of these onboard sensors, add some intelligence to these onboard computers, get some alarms, some remote notifications, et cetera. And long term, as we continue going down the road with this, look into some additional cameras and non-contact sensors on these application equipment. So a little more information on this, on each phase of it. Phase one, we got remote viewing of infield applications. We have the ability for the dispatcher to create some jobs and get a hold of the operator out in the field. And then, it's on the app, our tenders and everything else. So we move into phase two. This one will allow them operators to see some of the potential hazards and hopefully avoid them as we get going, and create a greater situational awareness inside of the cab with the eventual goal of getting most or all of this data onto the in-cab displays without creating information overload for the operators and drivers. It'll allow for the integration of customer data that might include identified hazards already to be displayed along with the normal data in the cabs, and one day hopefully help provide vision for external sensors. And as we get into that 3 or 4, just showing some of the stuff that we're looking at here, longer term external sensor technologies that can help us detect hazards like power lines and maybe see changes in topography that might create some hazards such as washouts hidden by crop foliage or other objects that might be in the field besides power lines. You get people, gas, signage, gas lines. So then, we like to leverage some of the autonomous driving technologies and the system developments to help create a better overall field map data, which would include hazards while applicators are actually out operating in that field. So looking forward to this project gaining some traction in both short-term and long-term, and see if we can reduce the risk of our operators, whether they're operating tenders, trailers, application equipment, and really reduce the chances of them getting tangled up in a power line. So them two, they fit together fairly well. This project is a bulk bag awareness campaign that we ended up going with. And I felt like this one might be useful, as I think all of us may deal with bulk bags quite often. So The bulk bag awareness campaign that we teed off really was formed in response to 2 serious incidents that we had over 2 years where bulk bags fell on our employees. And to just give you an idea on some of these that we faced, back in 2020, we had an employee operating a forklift and they bumped into a sack of soybean bulk seed bags. The right rear tire of the forklift tore a hole in the bottom of one of the bags. And the employee got off the forklift, crouched down and placed their hands over the hole to stop the seed from spilling out onto the floor. And, it didn't take very long for that top bulk bag started to slip and fell onto the forklift, which then eventually fell on top of the employee. The employee suffered, they ended up breaking their right leg and broke their left ankle from this bag falling on them. And back in 2018, too close together, an employee, they were running a forklift and tore a hole in a seed bag in the bottom of it full of soybeans. The soybeans poured out all over the floor, and the employee jumped off the forklift, tried to tape the hole in the bottom of the bag. And so many of them soybeans had already poured out of the bottom of the bag that it lost its ability to support that top bag up above it. The top bag fell on the employee and trapped him. Now, there was some cameras in the warehouse, and other employees in the office seen this take place. And they ran out into the warehouse, didn't really have the right gear on, right boots, and to help him out. And the admin ended up slipping and falling on the spilled material all over the floor. So we ended up taking both of our employees to the hospital, and where the admin ended up having a broken ankle in 3 places as well. So with 2 incidents really close together, we really had to take a step back and evaluate how we were handling bulk bags, and 2 near misses. It could have been really life altering or worse for a couple of our employees. So the campaign started out, we stepped back just how we were handling a lot of bulk bags. And as we looked at it across the organization, we had 600 plus different branches handling bulk. And then when we got looking into how much of it we really moved, of 4 million units of soybeans in bulk bags over the past season, it just become a little bit staggering. So the goal of the project was really to evaluate the existing need for storage, identify the potential issues, and some of the best management practices going forward. So the one big thing that I challenged and really wanted to come out of this was a training program for educating all of our employees and locations that were handling bulk bags, and see what kind of engineering controls were out there for us to use for storage, for opening bulk bags, to get the employees out of the line of fire from working underneath them, et cetera. So some of the best practices that we have come up with is the way we store bags and stack them. A lot of times we weren't putting anything on top of the bag, such as a piece of plywood, something rigid on top of it. If we were setting another bag on top of each other, sometimes they weren't always on pallets. We weren't at times using the proper equipment for handling. You see some of this stuff up here, rather than go through the ears on the bulk bags, you use the equipment designed for us. We started purchasing some of that. Filling and emptying these bags presented a challenge for us. And then, as we talked about, safely addressing a punctured bag a punctured bag is what led to both of the incidents that we really had. So at the end of the project, we put together a 1-hour training, approximately 1-hour training that's delivered at the branch level, that comes up with a lot of different solutions, how to, from engineering controls to employees moving the equipment, handling the equipment, cleaning up the equipment, and repairing punctured bags. So that training's been beneficial. As 2020, we haven't had any other issues yet with bulk bags, but this project is something that we're going to continue to roll out and enforce and try to persuade people to recognize the hazards, because it doesn't seem like that big of a hazard when you handle so many of them on a day-to-day basis, and it seems like we do so many other things that aren't as dangerous, that it's important to keep this in front of our people often. So good training, something we learned going forward that we felt we can get some long-term benefit out of. When we put this team together, it just, for the sheer size of it all, we wanted to reach out across the U.S. and Canada and make sure that we included enough information and didn't just try to address the hazards at one location. So pretty well-rounded team that put together this awareness campaign. Their product really is beneficial.
Matt, so far I really appreciate you sharing this with what you guys are working on. And your comment that, safety has no competitors. I think that's a really true thing. And I know all of our companies are working really hard on it. And it's fun to see that, I know my outfit is working on the same stuff as you guys are. So I think in general, we're all trying to bring the overall safety of the industry to the fore and really improve. So I really appreciate your presentation so far.
You bet. As we move forward, another hazard that we deal with a lot across our company is ammonia. And I know, it's a little bit sporadic for different parts of the country. Really do a lot of it in the Midwest and Canada and a little bit of it in the West, but not near what we're doing there in the Midwest. But this is a team that, was assembled as, again, a result of too many near misses and or injuries within the industry as a whole and even within our company. So as you all know, anhydrous, it's a pretty key part of our nitrogen business. We do recognize that it's one of the most hazardous products that we produce and distribute. In order to meet the demands of our growers and keep our workers and contractors safe, we ended up recently developing some interactive e-learning modules and some operating standards and put it in the form of a manual that were not previously available to our employees. So before we get into the project, just a little bit of logistical information for you on how we handle ammonia is probably similar. If you do any ammonia, you do it the same. It's transported from our manufacturing facilities to our retail locations and stored until it's loaded into our nurse wagons or transport TDUs and then transported out to the grower's field. So right now we've got about a lot of nurse wagons in the U.S. alone, about 15,000 of them. So the average capacity of our nurse wagons is 3 tons. Our workers are performing about 500,000 different connections at these facilities to facilitate these transfers from bulk storage to the nurse wagons. It doesn't really take into account at all the field application or the reaction locations that handle ammonia. So we're looking at handling about 1 million tons of ammonia each year at 600 different locations and have about 5,000 people that needed training to have their hands close to the ammonia. So just a little bit of a feel for what led us into this project. Following a handful of incidents, we put together a team of subject matter experts in-house from the US and Canada to address this product that's really hazardous and definitely has life-altering events, and we've seen them within our own company, unfortunately. The team was initially focused on participating in incident investigation and addressing issues such as hose failures, or I don't know if you've heard of the valve creep phenomenon related to temperature fluctuations, but that was their original focus. And in the fall of 2019, the ammonia team, we were out providing some hands-on training in the Corn Belt region, as known as the ammonia field days. And during this training, the need for task-specific training became very, very, very evident. We were talking to some guys on the riser. They were letting us know that, that was the most thorough training on ammonia that they may have had to that point in their career. So it really made us step back and think that we needed to provide more and better training efficiently across the organization. So the challenge was to develop a product that could be delivered effectively and efficiently when you think of time and cost to a very large number of employees scattered across North America. So for the next year, this group of in-house subject matter experts went to work. As we began developing the training, we realized that there's also an opportunity for clarification, as here in the U.S., we didn't have an operating standard in the form of a manual in place. The last version that was used is a little bit maybe historical knowledge. It was used from a different company that was developed in the 90s. So we ended up taking our existing operating standards from both the US and Canada. And they had an operating standard where they're a little more regulated for ammonia handling in Canada. We began a process to review and combine, pulling the best practices together to create a new ammonia operating standards document that will complement the training being developed and serve as a reference to those that have taken it when they were done. After the initial draft and then standards, we vetted it with a lot of people, with branch managers, division managers, region managers throughout the organization, and found out that we had too much fluff in there, and that we just wanted to get that down to where it was valuable to the workers in the field. So throughout that vetting process, we ended up reducing that document from 111 pages to begin with down to 64 pages. So just about in half of meaningful content by solely removing some of the information that was already captured in each standard and was redundant. So we had a lot more useful product for those out in the field, which was our intent. It wasn't to impress safety professionals. It was to be used as a resource out there with the men and women in the trenches. So, with the challenge of providing this training, once the manuals getting developed in conjunction with it, we're looking at, as I mentioned, about 5,000 workers across North America. We reached out to our internal training team to lead us through this process as they'd done it before, so we could get it delivered across a large footprint. This is just an example you'll see on the slide here of some of the snippets of the training and some of the topics that are in there. We go from anywhere from anhydrous ammonia basics, working on applicators, toolbars, maintenance. It covers a lot of information in 9 interactive e-learning modules. After we engage these subject matter experts to assist with this, we started bouncing the training off of the field again. And after we run that by 150 people and tried to find all the holes in it we could and get suggestions, we went back, cleaned all that up, and thought that we wanted to, because although it was built in-house for our equipment and specific to our tasks by people internally, which made it valuable to us, we knew it was covering a wide spectrum and was broad for the ammonia industry. So to complement the e-learning modules, we put together a worker task observation process to ensure that the workers at the site, they'd get the right orientation, they'd get the right training and coaching to all workers. So while the training's detailed, it's not site specific. And by that, I mean, for employees to know when they're working on the rise, where's my jump tank at? Where's my emergency shut-off valves at? How do I access this? So that's what the real intent of that observation is. And the observation, it encourages the observer to ask what-if scenarios to ensure that the workers are able to critically think through situations rather than just repeat what they learned in the training. So now we're asking people to complete that upon initial hiring, and they'll go through and refresh that observation annually for anyone handling ammonia. Now that our employees are completing this training and the anhydrous ammonia standards are out in the field, we're working on piloting some courses up in Canada now for advanced ammonia training, which is a little bit more hands-on piece, a little more of a classroom piece that gets a little more in depth depending on the tasks that people are doing as an option. So, it's interesting when we get looking at it in the corn belts. Most of the time, we're applying ammonia with a toolbar. In California, they'll use water runs is often used. So it's just a little bit different. And the nice part about it and the results of this project as it came forward so far is that anyone that's gone through the e-learning modules after we rolled it out, knock on wood, has not been involved in an ammonia incident. So we're looking forward to continue to improve this. We've recently are reaching out now. There's a manufacturer out there of personal PPE products that they've rated ammonia. It's a GORE product, and so it's breathable. And we're starting the testing phases of that. As some of the feedback we're getting from the field, and understandably so, is that the hydroblast style rain slicker that they're using with ammonia is just really hot and unbearable when we get into some humidity and temperature situations. So we're looking to take PPE to the next level, starting to research some of that as the next phase of the e-learning modules and the advanced ammonia training. So something to consider if you do have ammonia. And last, this isn't a new project. I saved this one for last intentionally, as COVID's not new to any of us at this point. I mean, the vaccines are out there. Hasn't gone away yet, and hopefully we have a better understanding of it in 2021 than we did in 2020. But it definitely was a major focus for us to continue to do business throughout 2020 and not have locations and branches shut down and still able to service our customers. So I just thought I'd throw up a few of the things that we have done, and please share some of the things you might have done that we could learn from. But you know, a lot of our customers that are walk-in locations, we're figuring out ways to just put physical barriers up, figure out ways to not be transferring paper back and forth. And this just shows at several different locations, you know, some of the ideas that we had. So one of the things that we did face within our company was audits. And with COVID now, we're looking into this virtual audits a little bit. We've got some headsets that we're sending out there. We're able to do some stuff over Teams and Zoom, but we ended up working on our protocols. The audits are conducted a little bit with some of the social distancing, a lot more email and electronic than we were doing in the past. But we did end up deferring a few of our audit hotspots just due to the hotspots of COVID into 2021. But that's one of the bigger pieces that we've really stepped up, I think, and might really help us outside of COVID years, is streamlining some of our audits by utilizing technology. We've had to do the same thing with training. You know, we got into some virtual training, such as the e-learning modules, which fortunately we did that without COVID in mind. But some of the examples that we have been doing are our ammonia field days using the social distancing stuff, our virtual crop tours for some of our research plots, and et cetera. So as we move forward with COVID going into 2021, looking forward to it maybe cooling off a little bit and being able to go back to a little more business as usual with some good lessons on how to utilize our technology. So in closing, I think that the work that we all do is essential to feed the world, and through the implementations of some of these projects that we put into place, we're hoping to really protect our employees better than in 2021 than we were in 2020 prior to these projects, and also looking forward to continuing to learn. So we're researching now, even getting into some administrative stuff and contractor management and how we do everything as a whole in the ag industry and be able to continue to safely feed the world. So with that, Ryan, I can take any questions that the crowd might have or turn it back over to you and see if I can clarify anything.
One of the ones that I was thinking about a little bit, Matt, you know, my company worked on a lot of similar things with COVID and just safety in general. You know, it's obviously very important to all of us. Some of our smaller members, smaller retailers, where would you recommend is the best place for them to kind of get started thinking about, you know, a safety strategy, a safety plan? They you know, may not have the access to the resources that a larger company does.
Yeah, so one place I've found, believe it or not, is on the OSHA website. They have a pretty good section there for ag safety and kicking off a safety program from the grassroots level.
Okay. Yeah,
they have a lot of neat stuff on there. One of the guys on my team's doing a presentation at a different meeting today, and asked him to jump on there. They have a lot of things for off the job ag safety, if there is such a thing as off the job in ag, but a lot of stuff for kids and
keeping, youth safe on the farm and some of the things that can implement and consider for off the job especially when we're talking about growers.
Sure.
That's pretty valuable information.
Absolutely. And, thinking about safety, as far as when we get into the heat of the battle and we're running and gunning out there, it's easy to get overlooked. It's easy for people to maybe have maybe not the proper attitude about it. What sorts of things, pieces of advice you could give to kind of help people keep safety in the front of their mind and view it as really something to elevate all of us in our industry as a whole?
Yeah. So when we I know what you're talking about, that running and gunning wide open and staying focused through the next upcoming, depending on snowpack, next 4 months, I guess. That's a challenge that we all do face. As humans, we're wired to get a job done and to go wide open when we need to. So some of the things that I recommend is frequent and structured pauses is one thing. Taking that step back and taking a look at what we're doing today and thinking about each task before we go about it. That sounds easy until we're going full bore and we don't have time, or we don't feel that we have time to step back and take that step. So I kind of am a fan of this year trying some campaigns and recognition things as we go into the busy season. Looking at some of our past data and looking at, hey, this month we're really getting tired in this month. Let's look at the hours our drivers are on the road. This month it's slip, trips, and falls. This month it's strains, and doing specific targeted campaigns over the next 4 months. And then a recognition program to keep employees involved on turning in some of them hazard IDs and near misses and recognizing them maybe from the people at the top of the house, the top of the management, to get recognizing them for it and rewarding them, and looking at a specific campaign to, pick the most improved divisions. And when it comes with regard to safety, from a time window starting March 1st and running until July 1st, and look at certain spots and see, kind of create a little bit of a fun competition and challenge them to help us, let us know their hazards so we can help them develop some things to be safer as they go through the fight themselves.
Well, that's great advice. Really appreciate your time today, Matt, and your insight as a safety professional, helping us all do better in this space. We all want to go home safe and sound every night, and we want all of our teammates to do the same.
I agree.
Thanks for being here. I'd really like to thank you guys for joining the Great Montana Ag Rally. Hopefully you found this session informative and educational. And thank you to all the speakers and to CHS Agronomy for the sponsorship and for their ongoing support of MABA. This is our last Great Montana Ag Rally for Phase 1. It's our last set of webinars. So thank you again for joining us. Stay tuned for more information on the Great Montana Ag Rally Phase 2 coming this summer. So we've got some fun and exciting stuff that we're working on there. Maybe a little golf trip, a little socializing if the world will allow it. So have a great rest of your day, and I really appreciate you all being here.